Our next guest wrote and sent the letter to President Trump calling for Attorney General William Barr to appoint a special counsel to investigate the 2020 election, something that has not happened yet. And joining us now live, Texas Representative Lance Gooden. Congressman, good morning. Thanks so much for being with us. Glad you could join us here on Wake Up America. More than 24 Republicans, and I was just looking at the letter that you wrote and all the signatures here. You've got more than 24 signatures from the Republican side of the aisle that want the 2020 voting irregularities or any possible alleged irregularities to be looked at. My question, why hasn't this happened yet?
Well, that's a great question, and that's a question we've been asking since Election Day. Last week, the Attorney General came out and basically said that there was no fraud. And so immediately upon hearing that, I'm thinking to myself, how can we possibly expect an investigation when our own Attorney General is not interested in looking into it? We have a Department of Justice that cared so much about an admissions scandal at elite universities that they've put a ton of resources into that, but they're not interested in calming the fears and questions and concerns of 70+ million people who think that there were irregularities, or at least they've been told that, and they want them investigated. And so I spoke with many of my colleagues. We were frustrated. We had already asked the Attorney General to investigate. He did nothing. But then when he came out and said there was no fraud, after there's so much evidence to the contrary, we said, you know what, we need someone that's independent of the Attorney General. We've asked the President to start that process and appoint someone who can do an independent investigation. And if you're on the other side, if you're a Democrat and you're a Joe Biden campaign staffer, part of the campaign apparatus, you should be saying to yourself, you know what, if we really won this thing fair and square, wouldn't we want the other side to believe in the results? And so everyone, no matter what side of the coin you're on, should be supporting an independent investigation and a full divulging of the facts and the truth.
Well, you've got to find the humor in it too. Like, where are all the journalists who have been beating the drum for the last years? Where's the modern day Woodward and Bernstein investigating this right now and at least letting us know what they find at the end of their investigation? Just out of curiosity, did President Trump respond to you?
He has not yet, but I suspect he will. He's working in quite a few arenas. I know he has legal battles coming up that he's fighting toward. But, you know, we think that this is something that is imperative because the truth is what matters. Someone asked me yesterday, don't you care about the opinions of X, Y, Z on different sides? I'm not interested in opinions at this point. Right. The American people are not interested in opinions. We want facts, and we need facts, and we need the truth.
Like we've been saying, if one vote is found to be improper, you know, that's fraud, and fraud should be exposed at any level, whether it's one vote or 100 votes. We're talking with Congressman Lance Gooden of Texas. Congressman, you're from the Lone Star State. Your state attorney general has filed a 4-state lawsuit. He was on Stinchfield last night talking about the urgency of that lawsuit. Take a listen.
I'm encouraged that these other states have joined. I think there's a recognition that this is our last chance, that we are running out of time.
Your reaction to that?
You know, I think Texas is on the right track. I learned just this morning that President Trump has asked Ted Cruz to argue this before the Supreme Court. I have full faith and confidence in Senator Cruz, and I suspect he'll do a great job. I believe in him as well, just like the president does. But I think it's important that the American people, again, have facts, and it's a reason that we have pushed forward with this request for an independent investigation. I've also said, too, you know, if we actually lost this election fair and square, so be it. We'll move forward, we'll pick up the pieces, and we'll live to fight another day. But if the game was rigged, if the deck was stacked from the get-go, and the American people don't actually believe in the process.
Congressman, you haven't had anybody by the name of Fang Fang working in your congressional office at any time, right?
No, we haven't even had any applications from anyone from her nation. We've been very outspoken against China, against the Communist Party, so I suspect they won't be seeking internships in our office. But yesterday I came out against the, sadly, more common than I would like to believe practice of members of Congress having interns from communist China and places like Russia. It's crazy to me that they're even allowed in the building, but they are. The only rule against it is you cannot pay them out of U.S. Treasury funds.
I want to read
a feeling that Chinese government.
I wanted to read the tweet here. We're showing your tweet yesterday saying Chinese nationals should not be allowed to intern in the U.S. Congress. You know, my brother interned in the House when he was in college. You have access to a lot of stuff as an intern. So this is frightening. And I don't think the
That's right.
American people realize that.
They don't, and sadly, I don't know that all members of the U.S. House realize that. And a member of the Chinese government who has worked to perhaps get a college kid up through the ranks, they would happily work for free. In the case of Mr. Swalwell that came out yesterday, we learned that he had an intern in his office, and they were pursuing him long before he ever became a congressman. The Communist Party is very, very effective when it comes to espionage, and they're working all over our nation. Americans don't realize it.
Good stuff. Congressman, thanks so much for your time. We appreciate it. Keep us up to date with your progress with the special counsel. We appreciate that.